Hello everyone, and welcome to the era of gaming. This will be a 3-part video describing the history of video gaming, the development of gaming, and the professional aspect of gaming. Let's start with the history. The origin of gaming started on October 18th, 1959, when the very first video game was created, Tennis for Two. It was made on an analog computer and was extremely primitive, nonetheless revolutionary. Skipping forward to the 1970s, we saw the very first arcade games released. These include Pong, a very simple 2-person player ping-pong-like game, Death Race, Tank, and the very well-known Space Invaders. And now we come to the 1980s, where arcade gaming really started to take shape, with more colours, more complicated objectives, and fun characters. Some of these include Pac-Man, known throughout most of the world, Donkey Kong, which would prove to be the baseline for all Mario games, and following that, Mario Bros. We also saw Tetris come to life. The very first home console would also be invented in the Nintendo NES. The 80s can be described as the golden age of arcade gaming. Moving on to the 90s, this was home to massive improvements in colour, texture, and movement. The most popular games of the decade were most notably fighting games, including the original Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. The main console invented was the Sega Genesis, amongst plenty others. The 2000s saw the world of gaming really start to take shape. Games were played on more advanced consoles such as the Xbox, the PS2, and the Game Boy Advance. Games were now fully 3D and packed with plenty of vibrant colour. Here we see the original World of Warcraft, along with Portal, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Minecraft, Halo Combat Evolved, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It is safe to say that this decade introduced millennials and Gen Z to a newfound world that was now flourishing and taking full shape. Moving on to present day. Here we see games starting to come to life, to pop out of the screen and seem as if the moving images are lifelike. Here we see games that include Assassin's Creed Revelations, Grand Theft Auto 5, Destiny, Skyrim, Borderlands 2, Fallout 4, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Overwatch, amongst so many more. One of the latest trends is Battle Royale, games where you're dropped into a large map and last man standing wins. The major games are PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG for short, and Fortnite, which you may well have heard someone speak about, with over 200 million players worldwide. Like I said, there are so many games nowadays that you simply cannot list them all. A large portion of gamers have now taken up playing with their desktop computers, as they are able to push higher graphics and play bigger games than consoles. However, a lot of gamers still play on consoles that include the Xbox One and PS4, whose grandfathers we saw in the 2000s. Now we move on to how gaming is being developed and improved now. The latest graphics card to be released is given the name RTX, which was announced September 20th, 2018. I should probably explain what a graphics card is before I throw you in the deep end. A graphics card sends information about the image to the screen so that the screen can display correctly. Now what RTX does is it real-time ray traces, meaning it sends real-time information to the screen, instead of the developers having to pre-program it. RTX is a huge leap forward for game graphics. A lot of developers have shown interest in allowing their own player base to, in essence, create the game, with Super Mario Maker displaying this nicely, as players are allowed to create their own levels. This allows the player base to have more choice and free will. In this spirit, developers are also trying to be a bit more transparent with their audience, so as that they can get direct feedback and make changes accordingly. After all, the players are the ones playing. Another big development for gaming is virtual and augmented reality, or VR, where you are put in the space of the game. There are loads of developers working to create new headsets that work solely for VR. Although they are mostly quite clunky and don't work all too well, they represent something huge for gaming: immersion. An image can look as real as reality, but without immersion, it can be lost on the mind. I have no doubt that in future, these will be commonly used, just like in the book and film Ready Player One, which I can very much recommend. Which leaves us with the final part, the competitive or professional side of gaming. I know that most of you are probably a bit confused and hesitant right now. Yes, indeed, there are professional gamers, and it's a much bigger, faster growing industry than you might think. This whole category is called esports, electronic sports. It is compared in this way to sports, because it is the same in many ways. Anyone can play, but there are always pro scenes with eager fans, ready and willing to cheer on their team. There are players, coaches, mental coaches, and huge organizations involved. Almost every game has its own World Cup and pro leagues. This means that you can watch and learn from the best of your game. However, it wasn't always like this. A long time ago, there were simple local tournaments between friends. This is what I call the spirit of gaming. Anyone can hop online with their friends and mess about, or you can take the game more seriously and rise up the ranks. Some of the biggest pro gaming scenes around include Dota 2, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, and recently Overwatch, which made its debut in Big League Esports in 2018 with the OWL, Overwatch League, the first city-based esports league. The Overwatch League made a great debut, pulling in 1.7 million concurrent viewers in its grand finals. Many say that the OWL is going to be the next major esports league, and with its second season just starting, only time will tell. Another game to keep an eye on is Fortnite. With its surge in popularity, the game developers have been able to create a huge prize pool of $100 million for their first year of play. This ensures that people will keep tabs on the game, and likely keep playing. Something else to keep note of is Twitch streamers. These people play games live in front of anyone wanting to watch. The biggest streamer of late is Ninja, who started pulling gaming into mainstream media when he and well-known rapper Drake played in front of millions of fans on Ninja's stream. Well-known Twitch streamers like Ninja managed to attract the attention of big companies, with Ninja being sponsored by Red Bull. This keeps people interested in watching gaming. Thanks for watching. I hope that with this newfound knowledge, you might go out and find some more for yourselves.